my companions are, first of all, James Armistead Lafayette.
At your service, sir.
Double agent during the American Revolution, which he could tell you a little bit more about himself in a moment. And Gresham Nimmo, he was the surveyor that the colonel chose to lay out the plat of the whole city. And this, of course, is Andrew Sproul, who founded the Gosport Marine Yard, which became Norfolk Naval Shipyard. Would you like to add anything to that, sir?
Well, other than I was partially responsible for our win in the Battle of Yorktown, which, as you might know, was the last battle fought right here. James Armistead Lafayette, I served as a runaway slave to Benedict Arthur Lord Cornwallis. At least that's what they thought I was, a runaway slave. But actually, I infiltrated their camps so I could get information back to the Americans, take the information back to the Marquis de Lafayette, who was successful along with the Americans in winning the Battle of Yorktown.
When General Cornwallis was ordered to transfer his base from here in Portsmouth to Yorktown, James is responsible for getting the word to the Marquis into Washington. So he's arguably the most important spy in American history.
Now, Andrew Sproul is a Tory. He was on the other side. Rather, I was on the other side of things. And in 1767, I founded the shipyard. But then in 1776, shortly after the war broke out, I left with Lord Dunmore, the last royal governor of Virginia. And after being on board the Roebuck, shortly after leaving, I died of a broken heart.
But when you think about the city of Portsmouth, you have to think about the person that laid out the city, which was Gresham Nimmo.
Colonel Crawford originally owned all this land as his plantation, and the way you made money in colonial America was in shipping, transporting people over to settle, moving cargo from Europe to America and back. And once you made enough money, you could buy a big farm, become a gentleman of leisure, and immediately start going into debt. Colonel Crawford was smart enough to realize, my family can buy the farm, but that doesn't mean we have to sell the ships. I'll stay in filthy trade and keep on making the filthy lucre. And so he realized, if I carve off part of my farm here and set up a port, not only do I get the money for shipping my own goods over to Europe, but I can get a cut of all my neighbors having to ship their goods through my town.
Right. That's why I came over here from Norfolk, because of the wealth that Portsmouth offered. With the shipyard being established and the trade going on, there were a good number of Scottish merchants that had established themselves in Norfolk, but chose to come over here to Portsmouth because of the better quality of water, the deeper water on the riverbank on this side versus the Norfolk side. So there was a good number of wealthy merchants that made the move from Norfolk Borough here to Portsmouth.
Aye, it was a boom town in the 18th century. And we laid out the streets straight and wide, so that High Street was the widest street in the entire colony of Virginia, so we could move all those bulk cargoes from the surrounding farms to the ships and back. 100 feet from side to side, which worked out very well later on, because it meant when the railroad was invented, we could run the rails along the streets, and the trains and the wagons could move side by side. And then when the streetcars came in, they could just take over the rails from the old cargo trains. And now, of course, you've got your steel internal combustion contraptions that can use the same roads with no problem. We never had to widen that road, just pave it.
Right. And none of this would be possible without Colonel Crawford. And none of that would have been possible for Colonel Crawford to accomplish without his housekeeper and head organizer, Miss Mary Veale.
Well, thank you, sir.
In fact, Colonel Crawford left his estate to Mary's children after he died.